The chances are your whole life you've had bad habits. You play video games, you go to sleep late, you eat junk food, and you consume mindless content. And you wanted to change that, but you never really knew what good habits to replace the bad habits with. So in this video, I will show you my full list of self-improvement habits from the worst to the best habits to implement, so you can join me and my subscribers in the race to becoming the best versions of ourselves. Let's get on with it. Habit 1 is going to be fitness, which I am placing in the life-changing category. The reason I am placing fitness in the life-changing category, well, one of the reasons, is because this is usually the self-improvement habit which causes the domino effect. Little graphic there. It causes the domino effect in people's self-improvement journey. So basically, this habit starts a chain reaction which starts a bunch of other good habits, like reading books, meditating. Well, we already said going to the gym. Reading books, meditating, journaling, making new friends, starting a business, or getting better at your studies. Right? So this is usually the first habit which young men adopt and use to their advantage to help them get all the other habits in check. Also, the other reason I'm putting this in the life-changing category is because fitness has lots of physical benefits and mental benefits. Now, the physical benefits are pretty obvious. You get more respect from men, more attraction from women, which we all want. Like, if you're saying you don't want that, you're just lying to yourself. You're just coping. We all want that. And it also improves the cognitive function of your brain. So it improves your brain function, helps you think clearly. It can reduce the brain fog, giving you more clear thought patterns and better brain processing when you're lifting the weight. Which, those are all extremely good benefits. That's why I've placed habit 1, which is fitness, in the life-changing category. Now let's go on to habit number 2, which is reading. Now, the knowledge acquired from reading books is so incredibly valuable. I cannot talk about it enough. I started reading about March of this year, and I've not stopped ever since, and I've learned very many great things from it. But before I never started reading and started focusing on reading, I could not focus on books properly. Now, it's probably because I had TikTok and I had a short attention span. But that might sound like you. You might not be able to focus on reading, right? So, delete TikTok. Stop consuming instant gratification. That's the key principle of self-improvement anyway. But once you are able to focus on your books mindfully and be able to take in all the words, they can change your life completely. There's many good books out there. I would not recommend just some stupid fiction book, whatever, on like horror or fantasy, I would recommend self-improvement books. Now, I have some good book recommendations in my other video, which is titled the only 5 books you need to become successful. You can go check that video out. It'll be the first link in the description of this video. That has some good book recommendations, but there's plenty of books out there. There's books on finance, books on masculinity, books on purpose, books on philosophies like stoicism, which is very important for forging a good mindset for success. There's books that can help you build your business up. I mean, I guess that kind of ties into finance books. But anyways, you get the point. The knowledge acquired from books is so incredibly valuable. That's why I have also placed books in the life-changing category. Now let's go on to habit number 3, which is meditation. Now, meditation will increase your mindfulness. But what really is mindfulness? Mindfulness is awareness of what's around you. You're aware of your thoughts. You're aware of your decisions, which is very powerful because a lot of the time we like to let our thoughts consume us, and we also like to make bad decisions. So if we can completely control our thoughts and emotions and not get too worked up and think clearly, that's extremely valuable. And also with decisions, you might have decision fatigue. You have trouble making decisions. But when you start meditating, the thought processing comes much more clearly, and you can make the right decision much more easily. Right? You're thinking in second order consequences, maybe even third order consequences. You're thinking what will happen down the road if I make this decision once you start meditating. Now, the type of meditation I would recommend is known as deep breathing meditation. It is a form of meditation where you fully focus on your breathing patterns and your deep breathing. So I'll give you an example here. You breathe deeply in through your nose and out through your nose. I don't really like the in through your nose, out through your mouth. You can try that if you want, but for me, in through my nose and out through my nose works perfectly fine. Now, your mind will naturally start to drift off from your breathing. So what you want to do is put all your full attention towards your breathing and fully try to refocus on your breathing patterns, right? You want to go deep in, deep out. I like to say inhale and exhale, which is very nice. And another benefit of meditation is that it reduces social anxiety. The reason is it because it will raise your presence in a social situation. So, say you meditate prior to going out to a party, and then you're talking to people. A person who doesn't meditate or who has social anxiety will really be thinking what everyone's thinking of them. They'll be very worried about other people's opinions and caring what people think about them. And we don't want that, right? So, when you meditate before you go out in a social situation, you're fully in the moment. This is what we call presence. You are in the moment. You are fully focused on where you are. You're not stuck in your thoughts. You're not stuck in your mind. And it's a beautiful experience. So that's why I have placed Habit 3, meditation, in the fantastic category. Now on to Habit 4, which is journaling. Now there's a certain type... forgot to mention. Journaling is in the good category. Now there's a certain type of journaling which I like to practice the most. It is known as gratitude journaling. This is a type of journaling where you acknowledge little things in your life that normal people wouldn't really think about, and you express gratitude towards those things. You become grateful for them. So say, for example, a sunset. Everyone likes sunsets, right? They're beautiful. But you never really think, I am grateful for this sunset. I'm grateful for the sun that keeps the earth warm and provides light to the earth, right? No one's really thinking like that except for a person who expresses gratitude in your daily life. And journaling, gratitude journaling, is a very good way of doing that. Now, gratitude journaling is one way, but there's also another way of journaling that I like, which is reflecting back on the day. I call it humility journaling. Now, humility is the skill of getting better and better at everything, right? You never let your ego take control of you. You never think you're too good at something. You can always be better and better. You can always improve. Now, I like humility journaling because it helps me reflect on my mistakes that I've made throughout the day and helps me create a future plan so that I can fix those mistakes and work towards being a better version of myself, which I really like. Especially when you make a mistake, maybe you consume too much instant gratification content, like some stupid YouTube Shorts videos or TikTok videos. And at the end of the day, you're not proud of yourself because of that, but you look back on that, and whether just feelings of depression and sadness, you think, how could I have done better? How can I improve this tomorrow, right? And journaling is a great way to do that. That's why I've placed journaling in the good category. Now let's go on to Habit 5, which is clean eating. I've placed clean eating in the life-changing category. Now, the reason I've done this is because your diet affects your performance in pretty much all areas of your life, just like sleeping, right? When your diet's bad, it ruins your productivity because it decreases your gut microbiome, and then that decreases your brain function, right? So, you might have heard of this phenomenon called brain fog, right? When you have an amazing diet, you do not get brain fog. You do not get brain fog. You can think extremely clearly. You're well focused, right? Because say you eat something like sugar. Now, sugar is going to decrease your gut microbiome which is going to decrease your brain function. It is the same with artificial sweeteners. So that's really how it affects you cognitively. But now let's talk about the physical and mental benefits of a good diet. Now, physically, there's something when you eat sugar. There's a hormone. The video cut out there for a second, but let's get back to it. Like I was saying, there's a hormonal imbalance when you consume elevated amounts of sugar, right? So what it does is it affects your insulin. It raises your insulin, which blocks your it raises your insulin, which blocks your leptin, and leptin is the satiation hormone, the fullness hormone. This is what makes you full, gives you a fullness feeling after you're done eating. It blocks the leptin, so it basically encourages binge eating whenever you consume refined sugar. And the more you binge eat, the more calories you're taking in, and we know calories in, calories out. That's how you gain body fat. That's how you lose body fat, right? So when you're binge eating, you're most likely eating in a calorie surplus on sugary foods, so you're going to get fat easier. But when you eat clean and you do not eat refined sugars, you will not have this problem of binge eating because your leptin, your satiation fullness hormone, will be released properly. That is an amazing benefit of clean dieting that no one really talks about. Now, it can also do wonders for your testosterone when you do not consume foods like soy. Now, soy is kind of disguised as a healthy food, but it really directly increases your estrogen and lowers your testosterone. And soy is really in pretty much all these processed foods. So if you're going to eat a processed food, I encourage you to check the label on the back, the ingredient label, and go ahead and see what that says. If there's soy in it, I would encourage you not to eat that food because it will directly increase your estrogen, which lowers your testosterone. Now that is why I've placed Habit 5, clean eating, in the life-changing category. Now let's go on to Habit 6. Now what is Habit 6? Habit 6 is supplementation, which I have placed in the good category. Now, supplementation is really just an add-on for good dieting, because once you've dialed in your diet, for some people, that's all they need. But if you really want that extra benefit, that extra boost in, say, your testosterone, then you're going to really want to look into supplements. Now, for boosting testosterone, there's 3 good supplements that I really like. And there's a 4th one that I take, but it's kind of debatable. I like vitamin D3, which is basically the vitamin you get from the sunlight. You can't really get it in your diet. You only get it from going outside and taking the supplement. We have magnesium and zinc. Now, you can get magnesium and zinc from your diet, but not really in sufficient amounts. So I would really recommend you check out a magnesium supplement and a zinc supplement. And a brand I really like for supplements, they're called Garden of Life. I have no affiliation with them, but they make really good stuff. It's all organic. So I really like their supplements. But those 3 supplements can do wonders for your testosterone levels. Now, the 4th one is ashwagandha. Now, you may have heard of ashwagandha, all these proclaimed benefits, whatever. What it really does is it lowers your cortisol, so it makes you less stressed, which can boost your testosterone. But if you still have lots and lots of stress in your life, it really will not make a big difference. But if you really commit to a low stress, peaceful life, plus the decrease in cortisol, then it can have a testosterone boosting effect. Now, the main reason I like supplements is for the testosterone aspect, but it's also good to replenish a micronutrient in your body that's deficient, or any supplement you can improve your performance in sports. Now, on to Habit 7, which is goal setting, which I've placed in the good category. Now, goal setting, it's necessary, but it's not really on the level of just taking action, right? Because goal setting, if you don't have a goal, but you're working super hard, you're shooting an arrow in the dark, right? You're shooting a gun with no target. But when you do have goals and you're also working hard, you have something to work for. You have a purpose for your work. You have a purpose for your suffering and your discomfort, right? If you don't have goals and you're working hard, you're shooting an arrow in the dark, right? Shooting a gun with no target. But if you do have goals and you're working hard, then you're doing great. But the bad thing is when you have goals but you don't take action, right? Because goals are useless. Rich people and broke people have the same goals. Who takes action? Rich people. Who works hard? Rich people. But they have the same goals. So it's not the goal that defines them, it's how hard they work. And maybe a bit of luck too. But mostly it's how hard they work. So goal setting is very important if you want to achieve something specifically. But if you're not going to take action in the first place, why even set the goal? So that's why I've placed goal setting in the good category. Now let's go on to habit 8, which is cold showers. Now, I have been taking cold showers for about 6 months now, so I have lots of personal experience. But I know some people really like to over-exaggerate the benefits of cold showers. I have seen benefits in my life. Mainly, there's one benefit that this man, Dr. Andrew Huberman, talks about. He has a good podcast on Spotify and other podcast streaming services. You can go check him out. I don't have any affiliation with him, but he's very good. In his podcast about focus, he talks about the effects of cold showering for focus and for cognitive function. What it will do is it will double the amount of dopamine you are producing in your body, which will allow you to focus better, because dopamine is basically the motivation chemical. It makes you motivated. So you may have seen dopamine detoxing online. Don't consume dopamine, but you need dopamine, just not bad dopamine, right? When people consume bad dopamine, it means they're motivated to consume instant gratification. Maybe they're motivated to watch TV. They're motivated to scroll on TikTok. They're motivated to play video games. But when you have good dopamine, you're motivated to get work done. You're motivated to go hit that hard workout. You're motivated to go talk to that girl who you've been looking at. Don't stare like a creep, but you know what I mean. Who you've been eyeing, thinking, should I go talk to her? Should I spit some game? That type of thing. Dopamine is the chemical which motivates you to do something. And the effect of cold showers is it will double your dopamine production. So 2 times more motivation from a good source of dopamine, which means you'll be 2 times more motivated to get work done. 2 times more motivated to hit that workout. 2 times more motivated to get that girl's number, right? So it has all these amazing benefits from that. And it just feels amazing. Once you do it for a while, everyone says it's so uncomfortable, it sucks, But once you start doing cold showers for a while, you will honestly just prefer them. They'll be hard at first, they'll be hard to get in. But once you've done them for a long time, they will just feel good. Simple as that. And that's why I've placed cold showers in the good category. Now on to habit 9, which is sleep hacking. Now, I've placed sleep hacking in the life-changing category. Now, the reason I've done this is because, just like dieting, or good dieting, your sleep affects all areas of your life. So when you have good sleep, all areas of your life will be improved. Right? Now, when you have bad sleep, you're not going to get a good workout. You're not going to get a lot of work done. You're not going to feel good. You're going to feel tired. You're going to feel drowsy. Not going to feel motivated, right? You're going to be lazy. Maybe watch some TV on the couch. Play some video games, It really just has a negative effect wholeheartedly onto your whole day, your productivity for the whole day if you were to get bad sleep. So how can we use sleep hacking, utilize it to our advantage, and improve our sleep? Well, there are 2 ways I like to do this. One of them is to lay on the ground before you go to sleep. Now, this will directly decrease your heart rate. And when you sleep, you have a very low heart rate, right? You're breathing very slowly. So we want a low heart rate while we are sleeping. So when we lay on the ground directly before we sleep, it will lower our heart rate and kind of speed up the process of falling asleep, and we'll get a better night of sleep because our body won't have to do as much of the work for us. Our heart rate is already lowered. Now, I don't really know the science behind this, but I know it was recommended to me by a man named Hamza Ahmed. You can go check him out on YouTube here. I don't have any affiliation with him. I don't have a partnership with him, but he makes very good content if you want to go check him out. He recommended this in one of his sleep videos, and I've been using it ever since. And I have actually seen the results. I have gotten much better sleep. I have fallen asleep much faster. But I don't know specifically why. And I don't know specifically why you're laying on the floor instead of like laying on your bed, right? But there's something about it that works magnificently. So you can go try that out. And another thing I encourage you to trying out is to watch the sunrise when you wake up. Well, not necessarily the sunrise. Maybe you wake up a bit later. So watch the sun. Go outside. You have to go outside for this to work because there's so much more light outside directly than just from your window. Trust me on that. And you have to watch the sun set or the sun going down when you go to sleep, before you go to sleep. Now, these two can regulate your circadian rhythm, right? Your circadian rhythm is the 24-hour cycle in your body, which directly, mainly responds to light. So basically, when your body knows the sunlight's out, it won't be tired. When your body knows the sun is going down, it will be tired. So it's directly regulating your sleepiness, and it's producing your melatonin better at night. It's delaying the melatonin better during the day. So those are two tricks I use that are sleep hacking to help me improve my sleep. That was habit 9. Now, habit 10 is podcast listening, which I've played. Like I was saying, habit 10 is podcast listening, which I've placed in the decent category. Now, the thing about podcast listening is you can find some very valuable information through that. But the reason I've placed it much lower than reading books is because it is much easier to be mindless when listening to podcasts rather than when reading books. Say, for example, you start up a podcast on your phone, you're trying to focus on it, but then something catches your eye, you're distracted. But on the other hand, with a book, you're fully focused on it, you're reading it, you're fully looking at it, So you have another sense engaged, which is your visual sense, which is very good. Obviously, you can't hear anything when reading a book, but you can imagine that in your mind. So it uses your imagination more, which kind of, I think, would help engage you a bit more rather than just listening to it and getting the authentic version. Now, there are many good podcasts out there. I enjoy the Huberman Lab podcast and the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. Don't have any affiliation with those two, but go check them out. But I would not recommend listening to some bullshit red pill podcasts, whatever, where they're just constantly arguing. These alpha male guys and these women, these degenerate women, they're just constantly arguing. And I think it's a complete waste of your time, and it's just psychologically triggering. So it provides you no benefit. You don't really learn anything out of it, so I would not recommend that. But that's why I've placed podcast listening in the decent category. Now, on to habit 11, which is practicing martial arts. Now, I've placed this in the fantastic category. Now, I very much enjoy martial arts practice. I've just recently joined an MMA club. I go to the jiu-jitsu practice there, which I very much enjoy. Now, the thing about martial arts is that it can be a tad bit dangerous, but that just makes it even more exciting. I very much like it. It's a very masculine thing. But if you're a woman or a girl, whatever, do that, go ahead. It's very fun. But for guys, I really enjoy the brotherhood aspect of it. That is one of the reasons I place it so high. It's because it really feels like you and your brothers there. And maybe some cool girl there. You have a really good team. It's very much teamwork oriented. Even if you're in a fight, you sign up for a fight, you're solo, but you have your whole club watching your back and helping you get better and better every single time you come back. Now, that's the first reason that I really like practicing martial arts. But now, let's talk about how valuable it is to have the skill to defend yourself. So, when going out in public, you might eventually come across someone who's very arrogant and very aggressive. They might try to fight you. And in that moment, it's going to be very valuable to have the skill to defend yourself and be able to physically hurt somebody. Because eventually in your life, the chances are you will need to engage in some combat. And voluntarily, if you just want to do it for fun, because it is fun, you can get hurt, but I think it's worth the risk. Most things in life that are good are risky. So, I believe it's worth the risk, and you can go ahead and try that. And that's why I've placed the habit of practicing martial arts in the fantastic category. I really like it. Now let's go on to the final habit, habit number 12, which is cold approach. Now, cold approach, I don't find it to be too useful in my life. I've placed this in the decent category, by the way. I don't find it to be too useful in my life, but I know it can very much improve your self-confidence, which I think is a valuable thing. Now, I personally believe my philosophy on dating is that you should really build yourself up first and then maybe go at it a little bit when you're older. But if you're a younger guy like me and you're really, really desperate for a girlfriend, bro, then go ahead, practice cold approach. It will do wonders for your self-confidence and just the ability to be flirtatious and have some nice games, some nice flirting skills, which I think is a valuable skill to have later on in life especially. Now, that was my list from the worst to the best self-improvement habits that you can choose to implement or not. By the way, I have another video on habits. It's called Good and Bad Habits Compound Exponentially. That will be on my channel and one of the links in the description of this video. And as always, I love you, bro. Don't become wasted potential. Mwah.